All right, everybody, we're going to take a little progress report here and just take a look at what we have. This is, we've done about 20 minutes worth of work on the damage so far. So now if you want to look down through here, you can kind of see the cross-checking view from the rafters up there. However, we are going to be moving a second light into that position. So now you can see we just got some ripples and waves and things like that. And we're now at a level where we need to begin picking this thing clean. So I'm going to do a little bit of knockdown work. If you notice something here, when I'm doing this with the rubber ball on the back of the hammer, I'm looking to move a little bit of the crown metal and the waves. And the other thing that you might notice is that I have the light down at a tight reflective angle. And that's key if you're looking to kind of blend the waves out and all the little tension areas and kind of finalize them little crowns and ripples that were running through the whole damage. The tight reflective angle is the only way. You put the light up top a little bit too high, you create a bunch of little dents. This right here is the way to make that metal flow. So now we're going to be going into some more glue pulling here. You can see we got a wave up here at the top. And, another thing with the glue pulling you might notice here is that I am going a little bit more into a tighter angle with the light. Go ahead and put the mini lifter up there. And at this point, this is the first time I've broke out a mini lifter. I've kind of explained to you the reasoning why. If you put a mini lifter on a large round dent when it's big like it was there at the beginning, it's not going to pull a lot of metal. It's just going to isolate the feet are going to pin down the surrounding edges, and it's not going to make the metal flow that we want, the way that we want it to flow. However, at the beginning, the slide hammer is absolutely essential. Moves a lot of metal, doesn't have any tension around the pull, but at this point, we are looking to isolate little bitty pulls. So, we're going to break out the mini lifter and begin using it. Perfect timing for that. So if you notice there, I pulled a little high, and then I went in there to blend it out. Using the sharper knockdown at that point. Go ahead and go a little further into it there. And again, the mini lifter is going to come in and kind of pin down the surrounding metal. We're going to isolate our pull. And at this point with the mini lifter, we only want to take what we need. You're going to notice here that a lot of times I'll take a couple pulls. I'm not going to snap it. We don't need that super, super high spot in there. So we want to control our pulls and just take what we need. If I snapped that pull right there, that thing would have erupted into a mountain. I'm not saying we couldn't have tapped it down and got it, but why? Why do 2 or 3 times the amount of knockdown work when we can just slightly take what we need, and then there you go. 3 or 4 taps, it's down. And this is going to dramatically improve the finishing results of your damage. Because when you erupt a giant high spot on a dent and you go to knock it down, it's going to come down choppy. Just the way it is. It's overly stressed. Sometimes you'll do it and it'll be such a high spot that when you go to tap it down, it'll sink a low down around it because the high spot that you erupted out of the panel is so tight and so tense that the surrounding perimeter can't take the taps. I mean, it's just going to go down with the high spot, creating a low. So there you go. You seen that? 2 little small pulls there. And a note here: you can watch your mini lifter, and if you look down underneath of it, I'm watching that contact point while I'm making them pulls. And you can tell just by the surrounding perimeter of the tab that it's high underneath there. So begin looking for that when you're doing your mini lifter pulls. Look at the metal the way it looks when you drop the tab, and then put the mini lifter on there and just watch it for some subtle changes around the perimeter of that tab. And you'll know what it looks like whenever it's a high spot and it's where you need it. So if you can see kind of a pattern here, I'm just going through and pulling little bitty shallows into slight high spots taking a few taps and knocking them down. And not to mention, doing it this way, taking these little pulls, just taking what you need, is going to dramatically speed up your process. So there we go. You can kind of see the flex underneath there. See, I watched it flex, and you can tell that it's a high spot right there. When you look closely to that, there's a little bitty pinch underneath there. So there's one, couldn't just take it off there like I wanted to, so we actually used the mini lifter there to aid in the removal of that tab. Got to be careful, because if you can pull them straight off, that's fine. However, if you start to pull them and they kind of twist downwards towards the car, they can actually put a little dent from the actual edge of the tab, leveraging into the perimeter. So there we go. Got a little high spot there. That one might have went a little higher than I wanted, because we had to use the mini lifter to actually pull it. But once you spray a little bit of that alcohol on there, it will release quite easily. And that's something you're going to notice. I'm probably tapping on this 10 times longer than some of the other pulls where the tab just pulled right off by hand. But definitely not as bad as like a giant pull where we snapped the lifter without the alcohol to remove the glue. So there we go. Now we are moving into the cross-checking angle. I can definitely see some crowns running through at this angle, some little elongated lows. A lot of times when you do your crown work up here at the top, you're going to get these lows that almost look like creases running parallel with the crown, or where the crown once was. And that's quite common. But there we go. Even the little tabs are pulling beautiful this morning. Go ahead and clear it off there. And got a little bitty high right there. We'll go ahead and isolate the spot and just tap it down. Now, one thing that you're going to notice that when you're looking into this cross-checking light, you can begin lifting and getting rid of them little lows from this angle, but you're always going to have to go back to your original reflection. In fact, we're at a level right now to where we're kind of bouncing back and forth between the two. This is my first major cross-check angle where I was using the light. Throughout the repair, I was using the upper rafters as kind of a reflective source to kind of watch the pattern of the way it was flowing. But now we've got a nice view of the actual crown and the actual where the crown was to concentrate some of our pulls. But once we get to the point to where we get it dialed in from this specific angle, this major cross-checking angle, we're going to go back into our original angle, but throughout the rest of the repair, we're going to be bouncing between the two, getting everything dialed in. So there we go, took another little pull there. And if you notice, I actually changed the size of my tabs, and that was partially because of the one pull that we couldn't even get it off the panel. The glue is just starting to cure a little bit better. And you'll notice that even when you start on one, kind of this is early in the morning, as it starts to warm up throughout the day and temperatures start to change, that you'll start to get a different type of pull on the same day. It all has to do with the temperatures. So now we're going in for kind of putting the nail in the coffin here on this crown that was up here at the top with the blending hammer. Now when you go to blend this out and you're using this type of hammer, you just want to make sure that, again, you're trying to dish it out real nice and smooth. You can see I was using the polished tip there on the end, and that is going to give us a very accurate hit. Kind of resembles that of a hammer and knockdown using that nylon sharper tip knockdown. It gives you pinpoint precision. So there we go, got another tab there. And we didn't get like really bad creasing throughout the top of this crown, so that's kind of why I am using round tabs still at this point. However, on some of the harder hit crowns, you may have to break out a crease tab. You just got to make that judgment call when you get to that point. So if you think a crease tab is just going to pull it better, pull a lot of metal, get you into a situation where you don't have to pull as much, then by all means, go to that crease tab. But I do recommend at this level of repair, again, don't take the snap on that crease tab. Just take and move as much metal as you need to, and you're going to see that your life's going to become much easier when it comes to glue pulling. So now basically kind of just running through that crown and just doing some finishing work with the hammer and knockdown. Very, very precise hits there. And here's an overall view of what I've got going on now. Now I'm at a point to where I'm actually bouncing between the two reflections. So I want to use my the original reflection that we have across from the car. I want to get that dialed in, but I want to get that dialed in at the same time that I dial in the other reflection here that we have on my side of the car. So this is the way you do it. In fact, you've probably seen this on some of our hail damage tutorials. You always have two lights going when you're doing hail damage repair. It speeds up the process because you can cross-check as you work. And you notice here I'm getting that real deep angle there. And because we're on a radius here, I might have to pull that light in, kind of look at the front of the dent, adjust it back and forth, and really just dialing in that angle. I apologize, too. You can't even see me on this right here because the lights kind of blow out the camera there. But here's a little close-up of some of the finish blending work. So I'm literally holding the camera and looking through it at this point while I'm blending with you here. So I'm looking through the LCD screen, and this is my view right here. This is how I look at it when I'm blending. Now I'm coming down, and there we go, looking at that top, that cross-check angle here. We still got a little bit of a line to work right there. We're trying to make our hits strategically so we don't leave little dents, but we blend out the current crown work that we started with there. And now look at that, the rolling reflection of that tight reflective angle. And we have got this thing dialed in. I mean, right now, actually going to go ahead and just finish out a little bit of blending. Again, you can see the distance my head is away from that light. That distance right there makes all of the difference, because the further you step back from that lighting source, the more defined it's going to be. Sometimes you'll notice that when you fix a dent and you step way, way back and you still notice a wave or a ripple. That is where the blending hammers come in superior. And here we are with the finished product. Would I say it was flawless? No, I would not say it was flawless. However, would I say the customer felt that it was flawless? Absolutely. And they were very, very happy with the results. Did not have to drop the headliner. We've actually taken this and turned it into, I'm gonna put about a 45-minute repair on this from start to finish. There was a lot of times walking around doing things. Things come up in the middle of repair. I'm always losing my hammer and knockdown and trying to find it. Where did I lay it and this kind of stuff. But I would say as far as repair time, we had about a solid 45 minutes on this repair. So there you go. You can see the tight reflective angle there. Check it out in the lighting. This is the finished results here. Let's go ahead and take a look at it outside. We're going to go ahead and pull it into one of our parking spots here. And here is the finished results in the natural. Going to go ahead and walk up on it and take a look. A lot of the things that I want you to remember that we learned throughout this repair is to stabilize the damage, dish out the spots that you've stabilized into easy glue pullable pockets, and then make them glue pulls and blend that thing out to make it turn into a beautiful repair. So once again, this is John Hiley with Dent Trainer. We appreciate you having you along for this extreme glue pulling tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.